Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com. Here we kind of continue the discussion we had last night on the stream about kind of grassroots formats. I had a lot of questions about Commander 1 versus 1, if it'll ever be a thing in paper. As many of you know, they've started to put it on MTGO as a competitive format, competitive Commander 1 versus 1, and Frontier. And I got into a discussion about it had more of a market-related thing, would I invest in those particular formats, because I've said that I've quit investing in Frontier because of a statement by Mark Rosewater saying that someday they're going to have another format that starts at a later starting point than Modern that they are going to support. And it's not going to be extended, and it's not going to be Frontier. So that's kind of got me shied away from investing in that sort of thing, because I don't think that formats like Frontier or Tiny Leaders or some of the things that have been in the past can survive without Wizards. So that's kind of the discussion for today about how we think that Wizards has just dropped the ball on really capitalizing on that sort of demographic. We're spoiled as competitive players with Modern, Legacy, Standard, Limited, both sealed and Draft. There is enough experiences in those formats to play those to death. We have Grand Prix, we have Pro Tours, we have pre-releases, we have leagues, we have standard showdowns, we have Friday Night Magics that are dominated by those formats. But it's getting quite old to our casual crowd, and I think that's really affected our store more than anything, is keeping people interested, because especially now, me personally, I was excited about Standard, but now we're back to the crap hole that is one deck being solved, have a very overpowered type of strategy that no one likes to play against. I'm talking about Aetherworks Marvel, and you can just sense the excitement just die down. You can say that, right? I've got Zach on here, my co-owner here at Gone Rogue Games, as well as the casual perspective with Kenyon. He edits our videos here, and he's one of our more regular casuals. Was that accurate to say you shy away from more of the competitive?
Yeah, I'm starting to veer more into that. But yeah, I'm more.
I would definitely consider you as a competitive player, not a spiky or a casual player, not a spiky competitive player. Yeah. And these people like Kenyon are the nuts and berries of our store. Is that the proper expression?
Nuts and berries? Nuts and bolts?
Nuts and bolts, nuts and berries of our store. And so I just think that Wizards hasn't done a good job capitalizing on that sort of casual crowd. And there tends to be all these formats have been popping up, like Leviathan 1 versus 1 Commander, Tiny Leaders, Frontier, so many things have recently people tried to get going, but without the company itself really embracing this, I think that they don't have a chance in hell. And I'd argue to say that Commander wouldn't have really done what it did and become one of the most popular, if not the most popular formats, if Wizards wouldn't have embraced it, started printing products for it, started putting it on their mothership, having people write articles about it, trying to encourage Grand Prix to have side events for it, all that type of stuff. And so there's a huge potential for these other formats if Wizards would just see the light. And I guess that's what our discussion is going to be about today, is about what Wizards can do to embrace those type of formats. And they used to do some of those sort of things. Remember this Garrick that came out with was this in the pre-release it came out with? This was in the pre-release.
It was in the pre-release.
Yeah. You could play Garrick as an alternate way to actually, you could play your standard deck. You and your buddy could almost, I think, it was 2 players, or was it just 1 player?
It was one-on-one.
I have to read the rules here. Yeah. Where you could face Garrick, and then even back in Born of the Gods, same thing. Same thing that you can. What did they do for this pre-release? Was there really anything?
It was just kind of a side event thing, Oh, here's these decks. That was it. I mean, there really wasn't tons of information.
They had a checklist to do drafts and stuff like that to get a dice, right?
They did, just like how the dice are, or the checklist that you got on your pre-release kits for Almond Cats.
Yeah, no, and that same thing with what they've been giving us for local game stores is not these anymore. It's standard showdown packs to try to bribe people to come in and play a format that nobody wants to play.
Yeah.
And that's been a problem, I would say, since Battle for Zendikar onwards. I would say that the creativity of Wizards has just really, really gone down. There used to be a thing called the Community Cup, where they invite content creators to face off against the Magic the Gathering game creators to play kind of these wacky formats. And a lot of people love those. And I've tried to get other community members involved too to do these other sort of formats. And it just shows that there is a demographic out there that wants to have a different experience with Magic. Like I said, I've been having a lot of fun with these off the beaten path type formats. So again, in the comment section below, let me know what you think about these type of things, and I'm going to try to bring on perspective. Zach already says that Wizards Play Network allows us to sanction, at least casually sanction, a ton of different formats. So I'm just going to let him do his spiel.
Well, just for the players, I mean, if you want ranked, if you want points to get into buys of GPs or anything like that, for the actually ranked stuff, it's the basic formats. Booster, Legacy, Vintage, Standard, Sealed, and Modern. That's the only way that you can actually get points.
Which don't matter, by the way.
Yeah, you'll never get it. But it's some people want that. Some people like seeing their Planeswalker points. But for just casual, currently they have others, so you can come up with your own thing. But other than that, it's casual, all the regular formats, and then Anthology, Archenemy, Plane Chase, Commander, and Conspiracy. Those are what they have as casual that we can actually register for.
They had a ton more. When I was browsing through it on the WPN network, you could put...
That's what the other's for.
The other?
So, yeah, the
other. I think if you expand that, it does show like a ton of it. Like there's all sorts of things I had no clue what the hell it was talking about. The formats that people have come up with. And my whole thing is, instead of just like, oh yeah, it exists, embrace it. Do a tournament for it. And other things have done this in the past. We've seen, I always go back to Dota because Dota always like pushes the envelope. They make different maps so you can play for fun. And it's a big community thing while that event lasts. And then Kenyon brought to my attention that Magic's biggest competitor, Hearthstone, does a thing called Tavern Brawl, which I guess Kenyon will just explain what the hell that is since I don't play it.
Tavern Brawl is basically just this event that's held, I can't remember if it's weekly or monthly. But it's had this set schedule where they release a new format of the game just all together. It just spices up the rules, switches things up, and just makes the game more interesting. And the thing that's cool about this is I've never really seen a community with any card game like this that is so hyped up to see the new format for Tavern Brawl every time. Maybe Wizards could brew up something like this, like with Tavern Brawl. Because what I've seen with Frontier and 1v1 Commander, stuff like that, where there was an uprise of it, for a while it just took off and shot off and became really popular. And I think why that was happening is because the players, all the Magic players, not all the, well, Magic, I think why that is because some Magic players are craving something like that, an atmosphere that is spicing up something new. They want
yeah. They don't like solved. People, that's what we're starting to find. We don't like solved formats. When is Standard fun? It's fun week 1, week 2, week 3, right up to the Pro Tour. Yeah. Then it just seems monotonous. Our Standard events actually slow down a ton after there becomes more of a solved format. And unfortunately, in the past, I would even say decade, it's been the norm of very solved Standard formats rather than I always like to refer to the good old days of Return to Ravnica Innistrad, because it felt like even by the time that format rotated that it still wasn't solved. And now if we go back even to Modern, we go back to Legacy, we go back to all those things, same thing. It's yes, there are those diehards that like certainty, but the vast majority of us like uncertainty, like to use our creative brains to try to figure out new formats, we look forward to new sets. We look forward to buying new sets too, so we can experience something different. Now, same thing with Draft and Sealed. Those are fun the first time. There's a reason why Sealed they don't do like a pre-release type event almost every week, because it loses its luster after everyone experiences it once. Our pre-releases sell very well, and week 1 and week 2, we usually can fire off some good drafts. After that, no one wants to do it. It just dies down. And I really wish that Magic would take this Tavern Brawl. I was going to show you, but my display capture, for whatever reason, doesn't want to show the screen. It shows that Hearthstone has embraced this, and they have a whole team probably that developed these in months And what my suggestion is Wizards is they should start a team like this. They should involve community members, and then they need to push it out on MTGO, and then also push it out to people like Zach to have them run, send them promotional product or something like that, or exactly what the format is, and have it be a sponsored thing instead of standard showdown that no one gives two craps about, where the only reason they're playing it is for free product. If you have to bribe people to play your damn game, you're doing it wrong. That's like completely the you want people to actually want to experience it. And I think that Commander is the biggest when I started playing Magic, it was basically standard Legacy. It was like Type 1 and Type 1.5 when I played. Type 2 as well. Yeah. I think Type 2 was standard.
Yeah, Type 2
I can't even remember, but same thing. It was they didn't even care. Like it took a lot of people to push Commander before Wizards would actually, drag their feet and make a format.
Well, that's all we used to play was Commander. We all used to sit around with big old 100-card decks. This was back in 2000. Just in the year 2000, you sit around 6 people and play.
You're old.
So you're older than I am. At least I know what Type 2 is. But look how long it took for Commander to become official. There was that type of format. I remember reading about that kind of play style in the old magazines.
Well, I guess I can't say that they haven't really done this at all. Like, the thing is that usually when they do something like this, they have to push an entire product, like Archenemy or Conspiracy, which I think if they want to sell their latest set, we were talking about this earlier, if they want to sell their latest set and also generate some hype for like card singles and for stores to actually get people in, then they should make it so their newest set can be played in these type of things. I talked about Planar on my channel way back in the day when I was excited for Shadows over Innistrad, because I was like, wow, we have more humans, we have more zombies, we have more werewolves. This pairs up so well with old school Innistrad. How fun would it be to just have a format that only Innistrad Block 1, so Innistrad, Dark Ascension, Avacyn Restored, was legal with new Innistrad, and have that be a competitive format that's not solved for a Pro Tour type. It doesn't even need to be a Pro Tour. It could just be a tournament, and it could be self-funded again through MTGO or through the Wizards Play Networks, having tournaments and having it all. Most of the Star City games and the TCG Player tournaments are funded through local events, where a lot of the money that goes into that gets put into a pot, and then that's how they fund their end of season tournaments. And I think that Wizards is really dropping the dime on not doing a tavern brawl type style thing, and not really embracing this, the creativeness that this game has to offer. Magic is really, really good game that it can be expanded beyond standard. We used to play it when I was younger. We made an RPG out of it because we hated the mechanics of D&D, but we loved Magic. So we made do you remember the old school dungeon game with Magic? Where you went around and you started with a really terrible deck and you had to kill monsters to get a chance at a better card, or go do quests to go get a better card, earn stuff. Like, things like that were really a fun way to play Magic. And it just seems like, I don't know, for me, Magic has just become extremely stale. Or it's still going to be fun because there's still enough that it does offer, since I am a competitive player, since I do like to brew with the latest formats and still go back to old formats, and there's so many cards out there in the realm of Magic that it can keep my attention. But as a store owner, it's just very disappointing that the buck kind of stops there with, do you play Standard or Commander? Nope. Okay, well, there's no point to coming to the store. There's no point to, go back to your kitchen table. There's nothing to be organized here. So, I don't know, any other closing thoughts on, we had a good discussion going, and now, of course, when we turn the cameras on, we forget what we're talking about. But in the comment section below, I really like to bring on some other people's perspectives. Maybe we'll have to stream about this sometime and see what the competitors of other games do. What are I guess my question is for you, is, do you have any of the wacky formats you've played and enjoyed? What are those? How do you play them? Is it something that could be turned into like a small tournament or a tavern brawl type setting, the way that Hearthstone works? What are your thoughts, Kenyon?
Well, I don't know. I was also thinking like another way. Like, it would be probably way more effective for them to have their own team to set up these formats like this. But I think another cool way to like involve the players and the community as a whole is kind of like have this way where they can shoot their ideas to Wizards, and they can, just kind of incorporate with the ideas that.
Yeah.
That's
well,
good.
Wizard just needs to really be more involved in the community.
Just more in touch with the community.
Yep. Speaking, I guess that's one of Zach's frustrations is on the dealing on the directly with the Wizards Play Network. Is I guess is this correct to say as a stoner you feel very disconnected with Wizards?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, you're able to contact them, get a hold of them, and everything, which they do great at that. But a lot of times it feels like, well, the buck stops here. That's your job. They give us a lot of suggestions. They give us a lot of tips. They interview other stores and everything like that. But when it comes directly down with kind of dealing with players, there feels like there's a big disconnect. It feels like, here, we printed these products for you. Go play, just like you're saying. And then it says, okay, go get our pros. Go get our other players. I mean, they've even pushed out their competitive players, I feel like. Because
lost Stanislav Sivka and Brian Kibler to Hearthstone.
Well, not only that, just like we've had a lot of players who kind of had their dreams crushed with just the PTQ going away. It's like, oh, now you got to do this to do this to do this. It's why can't we have a format or just a pro tour? Cool, let the people who have extremely high Hall of Fames play, have a PTQ one in every state or so, and give us back more of our community that we used to have. It feels like we've got the pros players and we've got the casual players. It's really been broken in the last year or so.
I'd like to see them try to really sponsor regional things. I mean, states are a joke. States are an absolute joke. They're usually just held by Star City Games or TCG Player, and it's just a one-time event where you go and play.
I don't know what happened to just like Little League tournaments are. You go play at a regional. You got your states, you got your national, then you finally get your worlds,
Well, it's good they brought on teams, but now they need to do something more than just teams. Like, it'd be really cool to have, like, stores, face off against each other. But Wizards, the thing is, Wizards has the opportunity to print money. Yeah. That's with promos, with things like, not this for example, but I'm just saying their ability to just print a foil card, like the Judge Foil program, which helped them pay for judges until the judges sued them. But so until that whole judge debacle. But it's so easy for them to keep their costs low because they have a product. And the good news too about that is there's so many cards that need a reprint. I was going through my decks today. I'm like, God damn it! Every one of my commander decks wants an Ancient Tomb. I just don't want to pay for an Ancient Tomb for every one of my commander decks. So it's easier for me just to swap sleeves and put it in different commander decks. But I mean, they can find some ways for this tournament, this whole circuit. Here's their promo for playing in it. Here's a thing for winning it, and it wouldn't cost a lot of overhead to do that. And their community is just a gold mine. It leads to sales. I used to argue with people so much where they'd say Modern doesn't sell packs. Oh, bullshit. Modern sells so many packs. That's how many Aether Revolt is being pushed out of the door because of Fatal Push. Literally pushed out by push because of the Modern wants the card, and that is why it's so expensive, and that is why cards are selling. I think these other formats will sell their latest set. So again, I'd like to reach out to my community. What would you like to see? Like a Tavern Brawl type format. I would really like to see a planar format. I'd really like to see maybe a singleton event for standard, or maybe even a commander. Like I was talking about how the problem with commander on MTGO is you go clear back to vintage cards, and so why the hell do you want to play new cards when there's these old school vintage cards that are just so much better to do it? Yeah. Maybe like an extended type format for commander, or if they want to make it competitive commander, and I don't know, just mixing it up from time to time and really interacting with your community, really interacting with your store owners. And yeah, it seems like that it might take a lot of effort and communications, but I think it will be definitely worthwhile. And I think that's why they're getting killed by Hearthstone and these other games that do embrace their communities.
Yeah, that's their biggest downfall with, against Hearthstone, is just staying more interactive with your players.
I mean, Wizards definitely tries to stay interactive with us.
Yeah,
they do. They give us the showdown. They give us a few things, but
that's a fail. I would still say that's a fail.
Thing. Yeah, I know.
They made their. It was a huge step when they went from, oh, here's the pre-release, here's these boxes you get with the pre-release, go play. Yeah. Like that. Actually, do you know what my first coming back to Magic when I came back to Mirrored and Besieged. It wasn't even in a kit. It was just 6 packs and a promo.
That's how one of my first pre-releases was.
And
too.
it's like, go play at your store. And yes, they've done a little bit better with like other stuff, but it seems like these past sets have been quite weak compared. Didn't they have one with like, was it Shadows or Eldritch Moon that they had like? No, they had What are the Dragons of Tarkir? Didn't they have like a little side event thing you could do? Fate Reforged Dragons?
Yeah, they had cool little side events you could actually do at the pre-release. Oh, you did this. Now you get a roll for this card.
Achievements, yeah. I remember that kind of stuff. Like all that kind of thing is where I think that Magic is just missing out. I always like to talk about the compendium on Dota that you can purchase, and it gives you like these things you can do and Pokemon even has it on Pokemon Online. And it's very easy for them to extend that, utilize their Wizards Play network, and give a reason for people to actually get away from their kitchen table and come back into the store. I have lost my kitchen table players. It's not fun for them to come in and get spiked out on a standard showdown by someone running Aetherworks Marvel or Mono Black Zombies. Same thing with our game day. It's going to be dominated by a person that is a competitive player that does watch events and practices utilizing the person that won our game day had been practicing his deck, had been trying to fine tune it, not just came with and that sort of mentality will have an impact on the kitchen tables, and it runs them out. And pre-releases are just not enough, I think, to keep people. It's just once every few months is all we get to capitalize on as a store. Anyway, any other closing thoughts before we shut this ramble down? But we'll have to stream about this sometime and really involve the community. Who would you like? What other personalities you'd like to see? Maybe I can reach out to some of your favorite YouTubers and we can give this a better discussion or whatnot. Anyway, comments are more than welcome and encouraged in the comment section below. Anything else?
I'm good right now.
Zach's good. This has been Kevin and Zach and Kenyon with Gone Rogue Games. Thanks for watching.